What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you all have had a great Wednesday. In this video, we're going to step away from talking about the tropics and the potential for tropical development in the Gulf of Mexico. We'll probably jump back that to tomorrow. But today, we're going to begin to break down what's the pattern look like in the immediate future, as in the next week or so, in the next 7 to 10 days, within the next 7 to 2 days. What does it look like? It's been very rainy for a lot of areas in the eastern U.S., especially the southeast. I know here in South Carolina, we have got daily showers and thunderstorms for the last 3, 4, 5 days now. And a lot of people are wondering, okay, when is this rain going to stop? It has been consistent for a lot of areas. Some areas have gotten rain every day, probably for the last almost 4 or 5 days, like I said. So is it going to last? Is it going to go away? What's going on? Well, I want to break that down for you guys and really talk about what can we expect for the next week, going all the way up into about mid-June, pattern-wise. We going to get more rain? I'm going to give you a hint. It's going to be more rain, but there's a potential for a little cool down too. So I'm going to break that down for you guys, cover all that. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely hit the subscribe button. I've had some pretty steady growth the last several days, and it's been nice, so it's much appreciated. So everybody who's subscribed to my channel, like my videos, thank y'all for the amazing support. And I got a goal to try to get to 10,000 before the end of the year. So like the video if you like it, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. So let's get going here. So we're going to look at the HRRR model, the latest long range. So this is going to go all the way out until about Friday afternoon. I have basically the whole entire eastern U.S. besides the immediate northeast. So we're going to look at pretty much this entire area you see. So if your state's covered, awesome. If it's not, I'm sorry. Sorry if I left anybody out in the northeast. But we're going to break this down real quick. And the HRRR model, it's been okay. Listen, these short-range models are going to be, they do their best to try to pinpoint where pop-up showers and outflow boundaries are going to occur. But they really are just something to look at as far as where is there going to be storm development. So overnight tonight, as we're getting into the overnight hours, things are going to dwindle away, obviously, when you lose daytime heating. But if you're living in Arkansas into Mississippi and Alabama, there might be a little mesoscale convective system that moves through a little line of storms, and they'll weaken as it gets further into overnight. So if you live in areas in Arkansas, into the Jackson, Mississippi area, and this thing will see if it can hold itself together, and might be a rocky night in the Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana area. Also, I expect a lot more activity in North Carolina, maybe tomorrow morning when you're waking up, and it's active in some spots right now. But tomorrow, another day. This is getting into tomorrow afternoon. Another day of showers and thunderstorms popping up in any given location, anywhere from Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, all the way to the Ohio Valley, the Southeast, up to Virginia, West Virginia. I can tell you, if you live in around Central Georgia into South Carolina, I think the coverage will be a little less, but I still think there'll be some showers and storms tomorrow. There's a little bit of a high pressure right here, and storms don't tend to mess around right in the middle of the high pressure, but it's a weak one, so I still think there's going to be widely scattered showers and storms. And with such humid conditions, with such moist conditions, if you get hit by one of these showers or storms, even a downpour with no lightning and thunder in it, you can pick up a quick half inch to an inch of rain. It's what happened at my location today here in Lexington, South Carolina. I got slammed on the way home. But you get into Friday morning, and as you get into Friday afternoon, more showers and storms begin to popping up all the way from Mississippi to South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, up to Pennsylvania. So it continues to be active. Now, you look at the GFS. So I'm going to get here and through in time, and my panels, Tropical Tidbits, I don't even think this is my internet. This is Tropical Tidbits. It's loading pretty slow right now, but I can't complain too much. It's a free site, and it helps me out a lot. But as we're going through in time, we're getting into Friday. We're getting into, and it's going to, oh no, it's doing good. We're getting into this weekend. Basically, anywhere where you see the green, I know you're saying, well, it's just a big blob of green, but that's basically where any showers and storms can be around, can be developing. So and notice how long it lingers around. We get into the weekend. We're getting into Saturday. We're getting into Sunday, still seeing the green around. There might be a little bit of a dry period as you get into next week, and then it fires back up again. It gets very wet again as into early next week. I meant to have the excessive rain outlook up because there is some big time issues for flooding right here in the Mid-South. If you're into Tennessee, Arkansas, northern areas of Mississippi and Alabama, and even a slight risk, well, not a slight, but it's kind of a low risk for flash flooding even here in the Carolinas. And I think this is going to get more amplified next week as more moisture is around here. The pattern's kind of weird, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit here in a second. Check out this high pressure. This is actually a front next week. It's funny because around mid-June last year, we had a big-time late-season cold front. It really cooled areas of the eastern coast down, eastern U.S. down. I was actually looking at my history on my weather station that's on my house, and basically before I made this video, I was checking out what was the lowest temperature we had last June here in my location in central South Carolina, and it was the upper 50s. We had a big time cool down right in the middle of the month where we'd had a day where it was highs in the 60s and 70s. I think it was a big time cold air damming that set up, which is kind of unusual for June in the summer months. But here it comes. This is a high pressure, and this is basically a cold front trying to make its way through here. There might be some kind of system that forms a low pressure that rides that cold front and gets over here and off the coast of the Carolinas. It could develop into something really quick. We're going to watch this. If it does, maybe it straddles the Outer Banks and the extreme eastern areas of the Carolinas, especially North Carolina. You never know. These things can develop quick out here, very quickly, especially when it gets involved over the Gulf Stream, where you have very warm waters here. So you got to watch that. That might develop into something. You might have a little bit of an upper level low too that is around, and then you obviously see our tropical system trying to peek its head up here, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. We're really going to let that situate itself for another day I don't want to talk that to death, So we're going to let that, trying to figure out what it's going to do, because that's just an interesting setup, especially as far as steering currents and what's going to happen here. You look at the Euro, it shows the same thing. If you want to know what day we're at, look right here. FRI obviously is short for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Look at all the green consistently showing over the eastern U.S. as waves of rain here. Shows that trough too, and obviously you can see the tropical system in the Gulf starting to inch closer. So we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. But here's the GFS ensembles as far as rainfall over the next 10 days. So obviously it looks wet in the southeast. So we're going to watch this. I think this is picking up a little bit on the potential for tropical development off the Carolina coast. So I'll have to watch that. But not sure here. But it's going to be a lot more rain over the next 10 days. It's not going to settle down. It's going to be warm and humid, no heat wave. When you have a pattern like this, you're not going to have excessive heat, but you're going to have high humidity. This is the EPS ensembles, the European ensembles over the next 10 days. Pretty much the same look. Anywhere from maybe 4 to 5 inches of rain to maybe a couple inches of rain. But in any given location, depending on if you have a training of storms, which means storms going over the same area, in any given location, who knows? Somebody can get an isolated 6-7 inches of rain. We've had areas over the last couple of days here in our state of South Carolina pick up 4 or 5 inches in one day, in a couple hours. It just depends on if a storm wants to sit on top of you for forever. So this is kind of the pattern we have in place. I'd like to look at this. As you're going through here in the weekend, give it a little bit of a trough that dips into the northeast. That kind of cools them down, that cools you guys down. We'll feel a little bit more crisp to the air. You get a little low pressure that pops off that Carolinas coast potentially. And then another trough tries to dig through here. We're going to watch to see how much it digs over the southeast, because there's a chance it could dig more over here and get more of the southeast, more of some cool, maybe late spring-like days, maybe some lower humidity. I'm not talking about highs in the 60s or 70s. Highs in the 80s probably, but maybe we can get a drop-off in humidity. Something big to watch here, because that would be nice and pleasant for a lot of people. I'll show you dew points really quick, and that really Dew points are great, especially when you start to get into late summer and early fall, when you start to look at that first fall cold front of the year, when the dog days of summer are starting to come to an end, and you're starting to look at signs of the changing of seasons from summer to fall. I love looking at dew points because in July you have consistent moist flow in the entire eastern U.S. Dew points in the 60s and 70s, pretty much in this entire area, kind of like how it is right now. When you get late in the summer, occasionally you start to get signs of a pattern change. And dew points is a great way to look at that because it symbolizes a frontal passage and it symbolizes drier air behind the cold front. So as you're going through here in time, you're looking here and we might get a nice late season, since we're technically still in spring, late season cold front. And I really have pretty high confidence this is going to affect a lot of the northeast and mid-Atlantic. And what this will do is, yes, it'll knock the temperatures down a few degrees for high temperatures, but what we can hope for, especially if it gets all the way down to Georgia, maybe even the Panhandle of Florida, is maybe next week around this time, we have maybe a couple days with really not. It's kind of hard to say if we're going to have higher rain chances or not. Depends on if a low pressure develops. But we might have a couple days. This might even be a pattern where there's a CAD that sets up, especially when you have some kind of high pressure that sets up here. In fact, let's look at temperatures real quick, see if we can get this to come up. Yeah, so if you get any kind of high pressure that sets up right here, that could form maybe a little bit of cold air damming and get a little bit cooler temperatures into the Carolinas. But we'll watch this. This might give us a little break from the heat and humidity, and it would only drape mainly across the extreme eastern U.S. So that would be a nice little break from the heat and humidity. It hasn't really got that bad yet, so I can't really complain. Last summer was a treat. It really never got super, super hot. It was just an average summer to me. But that's all I got, guys. We'll go back to talking about the tropics tomorrow. But I kind of want to give y'all an update as far as what pattern looks like. So in a nutshell, it's going to stay rainy. Afternoon showers and storms are going to continue to have a chance to pop up in any given location. And then we're watching next week for a cold front that might knock down the humidity. And of course, we're watching the potential for a tropical system in the Gulf. So some active times for sure. But that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have a great night.